Well, good day and welcome once again to Moments with Dr. Steve. I'm Dr. Steve Bonneberger, and what we really are doing is modeling how to first create something of value and then how to communicate that thing or piece of value and how to build community around and within and because of that thing of value that you created, and then to build a culture, and from there for you to become the ambassador and ultimately the champion and protector and archivist of the work. That is what we are doing here on Moments with Dr. Steve. Now, in this segment, we get to talk about my very first novel I ever wrote. It took me 20 years to fully compose, called Through Gates of Fire, Wingless Flight. And it is a magnificent piece of literature surrounding this capturing messianic character named Flash Bastion. Go over to saintalegius.org, saintalegius.org, drop us a note, and for a small contribution to our ministry that allows us to increase the volume and magnitude and reach of our megaphone, we will get you a copy and you can join in the conversation. Now, today we're going to talk about the power of communitas. Now, communitas is that unthinkable and unsought moment when you're at the end of your rope, when your resources are long exhausted, and someone, and maybe many someones, arrive unexpectedly and unlooked for, and they throw you a lifeline or two. That is what community is. That's what communitas is all about. Those unthinkable and unsought moments when you're at the end of your rope and exhausted your resources, and someone, and maybe many someones, arrive unlooked for and unexpectedly, and they throw you a lifeline or two. Now, emotional wounds remain open until the community forms up to suture and properly close them. Emotional wounds, though seemingly hidden and invisible, reside just beneath the surface of one's outer and ever brittle smile. Emotional wounds encounter new harms with a sensitivity and inability to censure that bleeds rawness sometimes at the drop of a hat. Emotional wounds, these are as real and tactile and touchable and palpable as a piece of warm toast that just pops its head from the toaster. Emotional wounds on this day understand and grasp that virtually every human you encounter on this day holds remnants of these soul shredders just a millimeter or two beyond their physical skin line and beyond your physical sight line. So on this day, pause a bit before you thrash another with harsh words. On this day, take a breath before you utter those unreturnable, critical utterances that can last a lifetime. On this day, seek to speak a word of hope and then offer encouragement to those who teeter on the very edge of despair. You will be amazed at the outcome of such encounters. Now, in Through Gates of Fire, Volume 1, Wingless Flight, I love this story. I just love it. I read it often just to remind myself of what it was like to write it, and I just love the story. In this great and capturing tale, there is a moment when the messianic child's caretaker finds himself at his wit's end and his emotional and financial end, and when the community that he resides in decides to first endorse his efforts to care for this chosen one, and then offers unlooked for but needed financial support to make certain that indeed this child is then well cared for and that the gaps are sufficiently filled. The scene and the setting are pretty simple. Imagine the scene and place yourself in this setting. The bio parents of the messianic child, the chosen one, are now deceased. You and your wife have accepted the mantle laid upon you and reluctantly received to care for and properly raise this child of promise. You sit on the front pew with head bowed during the memorial service. Your mind reels. You feel the weight and the pressure of this burden that has been implanted and installed and given solely for you. You're a former 2-day sober drunkard. You have no money, you have no skills, you have no parenting ability, you have no future hope other than God, and often that is more than has not been enough to carry your days. You hang your head in shame, and uncertainty settles and swirls and swarms within your mind. And as the service concludes, you attempt to erect yourself and stand strong and tall to receive the best wishes of those mourners who came to honor the lives of these two deceased people. And as they begin to march out of that tiny chapel, they begin to face you, and then they embrace you, say kind words to you, and each and every one of them, as they exit your presence, presses hard cash in large denominations into your non-expected but very receptive hand. You, in utter astonishment, exit the service with more ready cash in your possession and for your direct usage than you have ever held in one setting in the entirety of your life. And as you exit the chapel, the God who you once disdained whispers quietly in your ear for only you to hear, "I told you so." We are building a global cultural conversation. Head over to stalegius.org, pick up a copy of Through Gates of Fire and the other pieces that I have created over the lifetime of my work, and join in the conversation. We would love to welcome you and walk with you through some of the adventures of Flash, Bastion, and Through Gates of Fire. Till next time, I'm Dr. Steve Bonenberger, and this is Moments with Dr. Steve. Travel far.